Welcome to the IonaHoops.com podcast with your host, Guy Flottico.
Greetings. It is season 4, episode 24 of the IonaHoops.com podcast. And lo and behold, we have a full roster, 13 guys. We've got a team ready to go. How about that? It's just so weird after having 0 guys a couple of months ago. Anyway, well, we'll have somebody who actually kind of knows about these guys joining us for this episode of the podcast. The one and only Tobin Anderson will be on, and we'll be talking about the roster. We'll be talking about how he went about building it with his wonderful staff, and maybe we'll get some other little nuggets out of Tobin before it's all said and done. So without further ado, let's get right into it. The one and only Tobin Anderson. The IonaHoops.com podcast is happy to welcome back the one and only Coach Tobin Anderson to join us now that we have finally a full roster. Coach, welcome back to the podcast, and congratulations on in record time here, getting 13 new players in it's got to be about a month and a half, maybe?
Yeah. Well, thanks, Guy. We were talking about getting on here for a long time. I said, let's wait till the roster's all set. So it's good to have the roster set and we can move forward.
So let's go back to mid-March or so. Our season's just ending. We're starting to look ahead, and suddenly, one by one, guys are going into the portal. How much of that was a surprise to you? How much of it was not a surprise to you?
Well, I think anymore the way things are in college athletics, you can't really, pretend to be surprised by too much. Now obviously there was some guys that combination of wish a couple guys would have stayed. A couple guys had to go. It was just one of those deals where we thought we'd have some more building blocks in place, more of a foundation, but we didn't. And but that was also partly our choosing as well. I mean, when I walked out of the gym at Manhattan, we lost to Manhattan third place, I knew there had to be some major changes, whether that came from us, from them, from the program. And so we knew we were not where we needed to be as far as going forward. So I do feel a lot better about where we're at now. But it was a tough. And we told everybody who was close to our inner circle, hey, it's going to be a rough month here. Like we kind of knew after the year was over, it's going to be rocky. It'll look bad on the outside, but at the end of the day, it's about getting where our foundation, our program, where it needs to be. So I think we've done that, but there was obviously some bumps along the road and some ups and downs and some tough ones. But like that's kind of the expectation now is it's not going to be easy. And but I do like where we're at, and I think we're ready to move forward.
So amazingly, we have one of the few coaches in the country who has experience in replacing a full roster to replace a full roster again. Before we get into how you went about that for this year, what did you learn from last year? Like when you guys were done and you had your roster, and as the season progressed, what kind of mental notes were you guys making, saying, all right, well, we're not going to do this again, or anything like that? What did you learn from it?
That's a great question, a great point. First of all, I thought we had to have better personal connections in the recruiting process. And it's, it used to be you'd meet a kid, you'd recruit him for the whole year or for 2 years, and then the kid would come and you'd have a great relationship with a family, with the recruit. They'd know the coaches, the whole program. Well, now it's all sped up, right? So we try to do a better job. Like I was on a plane, we lost in the quarterfinals to Fairfield. I was on a plane the next day going to meet face to face with a recruit who we ended up not getting. But I probably met every guy we recruited. I met with face to face. I met their parents. I met their families. We flew to the school. We spent more time with them personally, getting to know them better, getting to know their backgrounds, doing more research. And like last year, I feel like we were kind of. Now last year was a different situation. You got the job. There's all kinds of stuff going on. I was pulled in a lot of directions after the FDU run a little bit. I had to say no to more things this spring, like say no to your podcast. I said I couldn't do all the things that I did the year before. We were locked in 100% on building the roster and doing it the right way. And we kind of went back to some core principles, some DNA things as far as wanting guys who are tough and competitive and high basketball IQ, guys who love basketball, guys who want to be part of something bigger than themselves. We kind of made a list of the qualities that we were looking for in players, because sometimes in the portal, there's 2,000 players out there. You can get lost in stats and accolades and well, this guy's better than this guy, and rankings and stuff like that. And it's like, what's been successful for our whole and like me and Tom and Cam have been together for 3 jobs, 3 places. So we kind of, what's made us successful along the way. And we kind of went back to our core principles, our core DNA, and spent more time doing research, saying no to certain recruits, digging more things up. And like, one thing you have to remember, and I think and I'm talking kind of to myself right now, which I do sometimes. My wife said all the time. I'm usually talking to myself. Is you're not building an all-star roster. You're building a team, right? And I think sometimes you're trying to build a roster. And you say, well, this guy averages this many points, but they can't all be leading the scores. You need guys who want to defend. You need guys who make the toughness plays, who want to do things to make the team better. And so I think we really focused on building a roster as opposed to trying to build like an all-star team. And so I feel like we learned a lot from last spring, and some parts the hard way, and like we filled the roster last year. We kept a couple scholarships open late, and like I'm like, I don't think we got enough. You get enough value late. Let's go get guys that we want right now. And so the roster's set. We like who we have. The staff's been together too. It's like we also brought in a lot of new guys on the staff who we've now been together for 1 year with Pat and Kyle and Luke and the GAs. And so we're all kind of pushing in the same direction. And I'll tell you this too much. We have a chip on our shoulder. The staff we're a little pissed off about how last year went. And we're a little mad. We're very competitive people. If you've been around us at all, we're very competitive. And the whole staff is. And like, we didn't like how he played. We didn't like how he competed. We didn't like how we coached. We didn't do a very good job. Like, there's no doubt about it. There was no Coach of the Year awards for this year's staff at all. So we knew we had to do a better job with this team and roster. So we think we have. Obviously, the time will tell and results will matter. And but we're excited about it.
I want to give you the floor for a moment to speak more broadly about the impact that NIL had on recruiting. Now you've had to get some experience with that, and we had some ups and downs with that. And we saw some adventures with some former players of yours, even quite dramatic stories out there. Tell me about NIL in terms of how it impacted this year's roster and how important Gales Nation is, the NIL collective.
Yeah. Well, first of all, last year, everybody's like, wow, NIL's really exploded. It's going to be, it's crazy this year, but it'll calm down next year. They're talking about this year coming up, this past year. Well, it's gotten way worse. It's gotten way crazier, right? It's more of a factor now and more competitive NIL wise. And there's more schools that have the opportunity to offer money, and it's you can call it NIL, you can call it pay for play, but guys are getting paid to go to college and play. And so, yeah, it's a huge factor. I think the fact that our collective got up and running, we've had tremendous support from certain boosters, certain people, administration, and obviously our fans is a huge part of us being able to be competitive at the high mid-major level. You say, well, hey, the high majors, the big schools, we can't compete financially with them. That's okay. That's all right. We don't need to. But at the high mid-major, talking about the really good mid-majors where we want to be, right? We have to be able to compete, and the reality is it's not going away. Obviously this case, the House case just came down, all the revenue sharing and stuff's going to happen. That's more for the big schools. We're going to still have to be a player with NIL for a long time. And so I appreciate the support and building the collective, and Jim Oates, who runs our collective, has done an unbelievable job and cares so much about Iona. And we're doing it the right way. And I think more so this year than last, like making sure it's the right kind of guys, Iona guys who care about the school. And now the key is going to be, let's be honest, we need to keep some of these guys here. We need to have a foundation going forward with the roster. We have 13 guys on our team right now, and we'll have a few walk-ons as well who will be good players too. But like, out of those 13, 10 could come back next year. We need to keep, 8, 9, 10 of those guys going forward. And I think NIL will help us. I'd much rather use NIL for retention than going out and trying to get guys out of the portal. I'd much rather use it to keep guys, hey, we love this guy. Let's keep this guy. Let's make it a situation where instead of going to the portal and shopping around, he wants to stay and play and be part of something special at Iona. So it's going to be a factor going forward. We appreciate all the support. We need more support, and I know some people are against it, but the reality is I think it's been a long time coming that student athletes, they've helped a lot of people make a lot of money. And that includes coaches, administrators, schools. People have been building stadiums and locker rooms and film rooms and team rooms. And for a long time, the players didn't get anything. I think it's a good thing they're getting paid something. And like a lot of times, NIL helps them to give money to their families, to send it home, to do, international kids send their money home. It can be a really good thing. And we're trying to do a better job also with the educational piece of it, especially this year. I think we're trying to be in front of this now where, hey, budget your money, be smart about what you do. You can take some of that money and save it, invest it. And we're having speakers come in and talk to them about the right ways to use that. So no, I think it can be a very positive thing for the student athletes. And so you have to approach it that way. And we're going to need the support of a lot of people, and like every little bit helps us. It all helps. Since we a big golf tournament coming up into July, it's going to be a huge part of us raising money. We need people there. You can be against it all you want to. It's reality. It's reality of college athletics right now, and we can talk about the good old days, like I like to sometimes too. But it's not coming back. It's not. We're past that right now, and so for us to be a major player on the mid-major plus, I call us, right? And get to the NCAA tournament, we're going to need that support and that help and to move us forward. So I appreciate it, but we still need, it's got to be an ongoing thing.
No question. And yeah, like you said, I think retention is going to be a huge factor moving forward. And so I think like you said, you went out and you got different types of kids this year. The things that jump out to me, I think, every kid looked like just a tough kid, just tough. And more versatile. I think we had guys who were a little bit one-dimensional in a lot of places last year. And this year just seems to be a little more versatility. What am I missing from that? Is there anything else that you guys went out and tried to find?
No, I think you hit it on the head right there. And like, listen, I don't want to diminish the guys last year. The guys last year played their hearts out, and they played hard. We just like, listen, I didn't do a very good job. That we could have done a better job coaching too. So it didn't work last year. All right, from whatever you want to call it, didn't work. So a much more conscious effort to toughness, right? Just like tough dudes who compete, like Jalen Barr. Like Jalen Barr is a kid we just got here late from Flagler. He went to two Elite Eights, one Elite Eight, two NCAA tournaments, two-time Defensive Player of the Year. Now he averaged 9 points a game in Division II, right? So you say, well, hey, his numbers don't jump out at you. We watched his tape. We talked to his coaches, people in his conference. He's a dog. He competes. He's tough. Like that's we call him our kind of guy. That's our kind of guy right there. The kid we just got, Kernan Bundy from Hutchinson JUCO out in Kansas. Took it, won state champion as a high school senior. Took his team to the national finals this year. I watched him play 4 times, and all that kid does is help his team win. So is he flashy? Is he a guy? No, we got some flashy guys too. We got some other guys who can score and put up points, but they can't all be flashy. And I think from top to bottom, toughness, competitiveness, guys who want to get better, want to compete, are kind of guys. And like, at the end of the day, it's a comfort thing. Like me meeting them in person, me talking to them face to face, spending time. I feel good about the guys we have coming in. James Patterson, Biggie Patterson. There's a kid that I recruited out of Virginia 2 years ago. The mistake I made, I should have brought him to FDU with me. That might have been a better deal there, but you can't bring them all, right? So he had, became an All-American at Stack and had 2 great years. Well, now he's with us now, and we feel good about that. So just guys we feel more comfortable with. And, we missed on some guys too. Some guys are going to Kentucky that we thought we might be able to get here. So that happens. You can't get them all, but we feel good about where we're at.
All right, let's talk about the front court. You brought up Biggie, Jacob Hogarth as well, Luke Jungers, Clarence Rupert, who I love, and Yafet Mundi. Yep. So you got basically 5 guys to play, basically what we'll call the 4 and 5 positions, to throw a label on it. Great mix of older guys, younger guys who grind in the paint, guys who can step out and shoot it. The one question, let's call it an actual ongoing argument that some Iona fans have. Hey, there's no true centers here. Where's the 7-footer? Where's the rim protection? Where's our rebounding? Can you share some thoughts on that?
Well, I see that too. I follow social media as well. I see the occasional, where's the size out of the 7-footer? We recruited a couple 7-footers, but like at the end of the day, Yafet and Clarence are 2 physical, tough. They play bigger than they are. Like Yafet Mundi, I saw him play 3 or 4 times in person. He's a above the rim, punch in the face, competitive, tough, physical. He's a 5-man. He's a center. He's a plays his tail off. Like he plays bigger than a 6. The most 6'10". There were some 7-footers we were recruiting that didn't play big. Like he averaged a double-double this year at a high level of JUCO. So his size, his toughness, and we've all seen Clarence. I mean, Clarence is competed at a high level in a front court that's been very physical. So I think both those two guys add tremendous physicality to the front line. Jacob Hogarth, we loved him last summer. I was not sure. I remember watching him last July, thinking we can't get this kid. He's going to go above us. He guarded Derek Queen. He's going to Maryland and basically kicked the crap out of Derek Queen in a summer league game. And I'm like, oh man, there's no way. He's going to be a great player for us. Luke Junger's a guy I've known for a long time. He's like your step out 5 or 4. Can step out, play on the perimeter, handle the ball. And Biggie was a same thing, rebounder. So, you got to be careful about the whole. I understand. Listen, if we can find a 7-footer who played above the rim and block shots, and that'd be great. But like sometimes you get 7. I mean, Oz was not your typical 7-footer. Oz was a perimeter 7-footer who looked the size part looked great, but he didn't rebound and play physical. I think we're much. I can tell you this: we're much more physical than we were last year. Way more physical, way more tougher up front. We got bullied by St. Peter's. Let's just call it what it is. We will not get bullied this year. That will not. You're not going to bully Clarence Rupert and Yafet Mundi. I'm telling you, just come. When they get here, come down and see those guys. They're big, physical, strong guys who have been in the weight room a little bit. So I'm not concerned about that at all. Now, I mean, listen, I'd love to get a 7-footer who blocks shots and plays above the rim. And we were on a couple guys, but I feel good about where we're at with the front court. I really do.
So based on the way you've recruited, it's pretty clear you're comfortable going with more of a 3-guard look, though we do have a couple of true wings as well. But before we leave the front court, just a quick question I have, and it's hard for us to tell, and we, again, don't know him like you do. Is Biggie versatile enough to play the 3? Is there a time where you might see a bigger lineup out there?
Without a doubt. Yep, without a doubt.
Okay.
And like Biggie can play the 3, and you can play Luke Jungers and a Yafet Mundi and Clarence together. You can play all those guys together. So that's one thing we have is tremendous versatility across the board. And like Jalen Barr's a guy, like I don't know how tall he is, 6'4", 6. I mean, my best kid at Stack is playing at Italy now, making big money. Led the nation rebounding, was an All-American. He was like 6'5". But man, he played like Jalen Barr is a 6'4", 6'5" guy. He plays way above the rim. He plays physical. He's tough. So we can mix and match that front court pretty good, and I think we will. But yeah, Biggie can and wants to play. Hell, you tell Biggie he wants to be probably a 2-man sometimes too. So I mean, he wants to be versatile. He will be versatile. So yeah, there's plenty of opportunity there to go bigger if we have to.
All right. All right, let's switch to the backcourt or the 1, 2, 3 spots. We've in essence got 8 guys for those 3 spots: Justin Menard, Adam Najai, Kristen Winborn, Dejor Reeves, Kernan Bundy, Jojo Wallace, Kome Emuobor, and Jalen Barr. Again, lots of versatility. Guys who can shoot, guys who can handle, facilitate, guys who can get to the rim, some with lots of experience, some with none at all. You were talking about last year's defense earlier. We had a couple guys who maybe we struggled a little bit sometimes on the perimeter, giving up dribble penetration. This group seems like collectively you went out and, again, got tougher guys on the perimeter, guys who aren't going to be as easily scored upon or take pride in their defense, maybe. So that'll also help the whole thing about rim protection and breakdowns in the interior defense and all of that.
The foundation of our team's got to be our half-court defense, right? So I talk about the press, all you want to talk about playing fast, all that kind of stuff. Your foundation's got to be your half-court defense. We were not a very good half-court defensive team last year at all. And that comes from me. I've got to do a better job coaching the team, put more of an emphasis on that, and making sure that's how we play. But you also have to have guys who want to guard the ball, who can guard the ball, who want to guard the ball, who want to put pressure on the ball, who want to be disruptive. And we have a ton of that going on right now. I mean, as you can tell, I mean, from Come's a kid. Like Come's a guy who was at Central Florida, didn't play a lot this year, comes from Brewster. I mean, he's a dude that he defends, he's competitive, he's quick, and they all got popped. DeJour, Adam, Winborn. We played against Winborn at St. Joe's. He had 19 against us. I remember watching him play. Say, man, that's our kind of guard right there. Like just a lot more pop, a lot more fast twitch guys who can guard the dribble better, who compete more defensively, can help us play our style better, and then tremendous depth. There's a lot of depth across the board up there. We need more guards who want to play that way. So yeah, I think that you can tell from how we recruited more guys who can really want to guard, and that's got to be our foundation. Our half court defense has to be good. It has to be. We got to be able to put pressure on people and be disruptive and take teams out of what they want to do. and make them not play the way they want to play. I thought our defense last year had no impact at times on the game. I thought we were just kind of out there at times, and that's not how we want to play at all. So, I mean, you'll see, I think, a much more competitive defensive team. And, we got to do a better job coaching, but the personnel lends itself to being that way too. So I'm really excited about the group and the guys and like, I talked to Clarence Rupert and I'm going through the roster with him, kind of like I'm going with you. We're sitting having lunch. And he's like, well, does this guy want to defend? Does this guy want to? I mean, he didn't care about scoring. He didn't care about points. He's like, he wanted to know if guys playing with him wanted to defend because he wants to win. And we all know that half court defense is the foundation. You're not going any place without a great half court defense. So I think this year's team will have a lot more of that.
Okay. Last year, it did take a while for the team to settle in and play good ball. And there was a stretch as we got into February where we were playing at a higher level. We won a bunch of games in a row. And then, once Greg departed, things kind of fell apart a bit. But when you have all these new guys, nobody who was experiencing your system, it's not a surprise that a slow start kind of happens. And here we are again, a new roster, and they've got to learn your system. How are you approaching summer workouts differently, maybe even the fall workouts, to maybe try to get them ahead of the curve a little quicker than last year?
Yeah, first of all, I think it's reality, right? So I think a lot of schools are going through it. I think the a little bit of like last year, kind of like not whining about it, but kind of like, well, it's gonna be tough. The hell with that. Like we got to figure it out. Like that's just if you want to be successful, like you got to get your team going earlier, better, more cohesive, more together, more connected. That's a term we use a lot. We met as a staff. I mean, last year we were just going 100 different directions. We actually met yesterday for about 8 hours just talking about the summer, the schedule, how we're going to approach things. And like I think last year we felt a little bit like up against the clock. Like we got to put our system in. We got to get our offense and defense and press in. And now it's going to be more about building bonds, building connections amongst coach to coach, coach to player, player to coach, all the way through the program, and getting that buy-in because you have to have guys we were not connected last year on the court. Maybe off the court better, but on the court was not great. We got to have that connection. So that's the first thing is building that. And so we're going to try to do a little more slower and steadier. I think we threw a lot at them last year, and this year I think a little more building from the ground up, like I talked about, the foundation, the personal relationships, the toughness together. And like I said, in defense, we'll be one of the. We didn't discuss defense as much last year because we're kind of like, well, let's get the press and let's work about our offense. We're going to spend a lot more time on our defense and building that foundation. And teams that defend are together. Teams that defend are tough. Teams that defend have that, the unselfishness to play for each other. So we're going to have that, and that's going to start a little bit earlier with our defensive foundation than what it did last year. But we're way more prepared, way more organized. I shouldn't say not organized. We were organized last year, but like you learn, you figure out things that didn't work last year. But I will say this: I feel like I know these guys coming in way more than I did last year's team. There's just more of a connection. And listen, I've been home, like I've been on the road for like 2 straight months, and we've in a conscious effort to spend time with these guys individually, collectively. Zoom calls, all that kind of stuff. And we feel a lot more connected to these guys and have a better foundation where we're at. So, I can't wait. They get here in 10 days. I can't wait to get started with this group and get moving and get building. But there's no more, you can't complain about saying, well, hey, everybody's new and we got to figure it out, and we got to be a good team, and we got to be a good team by November 4th. That's just we can't. I'm not going to give the whole excuse. We kind of talked about that last year with them, like, hey, it's going to be tough. It's hard. No, that's no longer a factor. We got to figure it out and get there by the November 4th. We have time to do it. Let's get it done. So it's reality of college basketball.
Are you going to because of the newness for all these guys to your system? Do you find yourself having to tweak your system a little bit because you don't have, say, 6 guys coming back who already know it and they're comfortable in it? Or do you find yourself having to tweak it?
Simple. I think you heard that. I think you heard, if you were in our meeting yesterday, we talked about that all the time. Like, probably simplify things to start with. And like, I go back to foundation. Like, we got to have what we do in place before we start making any kind of crazy adjustments or doing too much. So I think starting off simple, starting off slower, we'll eventually get to where we want to get to as far as our system goes, but we'll start off very much more at a, defense first, then being able to play in transition, play on offense, and then the press will be a part of that as well. So yeah, I mean, I think we always tweak things. I mean, let's be honest, guy. Last year was a wake up call for I'd been on it's Stack. We've been winning for a long time, and 7 straight years in the NCAA's, a lot of Sweet 16s. We go to FDU, we have a hell of a year. Last year we did not like our record's one thing. I didn't like how we played. I didn't like how. I mean, when I watch the tapes of last year's games, I get sick to my stomach, and not with myself. Like we should have been a better coached, harder, tougher, more competitive team. So it's a little bit of a wake up call. Like, hey, we got to get this going in a better direction and play better, play harder. And we know that, and I think all the fans will like the fact that I was on a Zoom call with Tim Kluse. The whole staff was last week talking about offensive transition. And first of all, the guy's a great coach. He willingness to spend time with us, but just talking about the things to play faster. We still want to score points. We still want to play fast. But we want to be a little bit harder to play against, tougher to play against, more competitive from that standpoint. So I'm excited about that.
Well, I mean, we are too, and curious to see how it all turns out. Next thing now, usually in the past, like fans would approach the off season as a couple of new guys that we recruit, and then it's like everything's about the schedule. Because of this, nobody's thought about the schedule. Now that the roster's full, everybody's like, well, who are we playing, guy? So tell us a little bit about what you know of the schedule. I know, as Brian Breyer has taught me over the years, it's never official till the ink dries on the contract, but tell us what's going on with the schedule as you know it.
Well, I can say, we're one game away from being done.
Wow.
So yesterday we sat in the office and we're like, man, we got one game. We're one game away from being done. And the one game that's left could be a doozy. It could be a real good one too. So we're working on that. But yeah, I love the schedule. I think we're gonna play. Like I said, our goal is to play as many good mid-major plus teams as we can play. Right. So I think you've heard rumors. I'm not sure I'm gonna say it, but we're gonna get into Vermont. We start a home and home with Vermont, right? There's a team right there. 25 wins a season, as good as it gets mid-major. They draw great crowds. They come to our place, we go to their place. It'll be fantastic. We're returning Colgate, another team. NCAA tournament last year, 25 wins, another great team, right? Charleston, same thing. Another mid-major power plus team that's very, very good. The MTE and Bahamas and Baja Mar will be really good. A lot of good teams down there. It's gonna be the same thing. I think Indiana State's coming. I think I've heard some rumors about some good mid-major schools down there. Who am I missing? We're going to play one high major on the road. I'm not sure it's a done deal yet. I can't say that. We're definitely going to play a high major on the road. And I always want to play a high major. We went to Colorado last year. Want to go challenge ourselves in a great environment, play against a good team there. Got a couple good home games that I think will be very good for us. We want to get our students here. We're going to Hofstra. Obviously, we're returning that game. Hofstra is going to be very good. Done a great job there. So I think it's a great schedule. I think we're going to challenge ourselves. I told you from the day I got the job, I'm not here to build a great record. And obviously, we want to have a great record, right? But I'm not here worried about playing a bunch of dogs to get us easy wins to make it look better. We want to challenge ourselves, get better, and get ourselves ready for the MAC and be able to try to go compete for a MAC championship and play the most competitive schedule we can. And, we're going after some, the last game we're trying to play a really good team. And I think people will be excited about. So I think it's a great schedule. Good mix of games, home and away, and we're definitely going to challenge ourselves.
Okay, and some quick MAC news that got out yesterday. I guess the commissioner was quoted talking about, we are going to play a 20-game league schedule, even though there's going to be two more schools added to the MAC, so a little unbalanced schedule there. I want to get your take on that. And then they're still talking about little tweaks maybe to make the MAC tournament. About days of the week it should take place. And again, now there's 13 schools. How does the tournament work? Any thoughts on any of that you want to share?
Yeah, well, I think our commissioner's doing a great job. I think Travis doing I think he sees where he kind of got off track a little bit with some certain things. And so, I mean, I think the biggest thing to me is getting back to that championship game being on a Monday night or a weeknight where we can actually get a little more exposure for the league, for the conference. And that's, it was always MAC Mondays for the longest time. And people always kind of set their counters like, hey, it was going to be on a Monday night. So we're kind of lost right now in the middle of championship week. I think the tournament right now is probably too bloated, to be honest with you. Too many teams down there. You can't bring all 13 teams to to AC and have I mean, just no way you can do it. So I like this. I think you're gonna play, 4 teams one times and 8 teams twice. So hopefully they'll keep the national rivalries, which they've talked about. Obviously, we want to play Manhattan twice. We want to play hopefully Siena twice. Schools that are, we've always played, historically and been competitive against. So, I think it's good at Merrimack. It's good at Sacred Heart. They're 2 good schools on the rise, both doing well enrollment wise. Helps the conference, obviously, with the conference realignment across the board, across the country. There's a lot of moving parts. So I think we're in a good position as a conference. We have a little bit of a buffer. If some teams wanted to leave, we have some backing there with more teams. So yeah, it should be good. I like the league, how the league's handling things. I think just for me, my standpoint, getting that back to that championship week back to where we're playing on a Monday or a Tuesday night, we get a little bit more exposure for the conference will be huge, and AC is what it is. I know some people like AC, some people don't, but we're there for the next 2 years. So we got to, that's just the way it is. I actually thought it was very well run this year. Tournament was done, was good. I know the one night they played at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. That was kind of crazy, but that shouldn't be a standard. But I think they'll do a good job and make it into a good tournament. We're meeting this week with coaches and the ADs. We'll have a better idea kind of what the schedule looks like. But I think it'll be good, And I think Merrimack is a good program, done a good job there. Sacred Heart's another local rivalry close by. We'll add a little bit of zip to it too, so it's a good thing.
And last thing I want to talk about, we were talking about earlier, when we were talking about NIL, trying to get fans more engaged, making sure they're still packing Heinz for home games and all of that. Last year, I think that because of all the chaos of just all the work you guys had to put in to fill the roster and all of that, it's just some of the stuff that fans are used to leading up to the start of the season didn't happen. Fans didn't get to see the team at all before we turned on our ESPN Pluses to watch you guys play at Charleston. Will there be open practices, or there was an event used to always be opening weekend in October, Meet the Gales, that would involve a live scrimmage that fans can attend. Will there be more events like that for fans this year?
Absolutely, without a doubt. And we're going to do something in August. We're going to our golf tournaments in August or in July. End of July, we're going to have a reception in August for all fans. Then open practices, that kind of thing. And then we're going to do obviously Meet the Gales. We'll do that in September, October. We'll do our tip-off dinner again in October. And we're going to definitely open it up. And we want fans there. I think our support, even last year, it was an up and down year. We still had unbelievable support from the community, from our boosters, from the alumni. I can't tell you, people are so positive. It's a great program. It's a great place, and we appreciate that support. We got to do our job. We got to put a product on the floor that people get excited about. And I know it's a different time. People want the guys who stay for 3 or 4 years, and so do I. So we all want that, but it's kind of a lot more moving parts than in the past. But people will love this team. They'll love the pieces we have. They'll get to know them, and I think the more we can make them feel like, hey, Iona's a special place. This place is packed. There's great support. There's great fans. Those guys are going to want to stay and be part of that. And so we want to build that foundation and get those guys comfortable in the community, on campus. I mean, our students, we got to keep on doing more things for student engagement and getting them involved. But end of the day, if we could put a team out there that plays super hard, that is connected, that competes and wins at a high level, people will come out and support. We know that. So we got to do our part. But the more we can get the fans involved and coming out and seeing us and being part of things and being part of the program, and we're going to do a thing to promote the program, like more Zoom calls with me, more connections with our players. I want people to have an access to our program and kind of see how we do things and what's going on behind the scenes, and get a chance to meet the guys. And like you said, Guy, you made a great point. There's these guys are all new, and so it's the window of getting to know them might not be as big as it was in the past, but we got to make sure we get open those channels so people can see what they're all about, and we'll definitely do as much of that as we can, for sure.
Well, that is a great way for us to wrap it up, Coach. Thank you again for coming on the podcast. Congratulations on now you can take a little bit of a breath, and now that you've got a full roster. I'm sure it's been quite hectic the last 6 weeks or more, actually. Thank you again for taking the time to come on, and we'll be catching up with you again. Looking forward to seeing the product on the court this summer.
Appreciate it, Guy. Thank you for all you do too. You're a tremendous supporter of the program. I love. There's not a better podcast out there at this level than what you do. So we appreciate that. Yeah, we'll go through the summer. We'll see how it goes. We'll get you back in the gym, and then we'll get back on here again and kind of see what our thoughts are going into the season.
That sounds great, Coach. Thank you again for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Guy.
Thanks again to Tobin Anderson for joining this episode of the podcast. A full roster. How about that? It just only means now we can start to look at these guys a little more and start to think about the non-conference schedule and get some actual hoops in our eyes. Stay tuned for all of that. Lots of good stuff coming this summer. Go Gales.
Thank you for listening to this edition of the IonaHoops.com podcast. This podcast is a production of IonaHoops.com and its publisher Guy Filotico. The opinions shared during this podcast are those of Guy Filotico, IonaHoops.com, and any featured guests. This podcast is not affiliated with Iona University Athletics or the university itself. Thank you for supporting IonaHoops.com.